Hey, I'm glad you made it. Come on in. Welcome to the kitchen. I've been looking forward to seeing you, and I wanted to show you the new kitchen. So come on in. Here's where we are going to be making the world's best homemade pizza crust. It's a little messy. So here we are with all the ingredients for our herbed crust pizza. You want a nice sized mixing bowl so all the ingredients have room to start mixing. Okay, we have 2 tablespoons of herbs. Today I'm using chive and rosemary, fresh from the garden. You also want a teaspoon of yeast. And we do proof our yeast, and I'll explain that in a minute. Then we have salt. This is a teaspoon and a half. It's a general rule of thumb to use a half a teaspoon of salt per cup of flour for flavor. Okay, for this crust, it'll serve a family of 4 to 6. So the first thing we want to do is take our warm water. This is a cup and a half, and I'm pouring that in. Then put that aside. Here's our yeast. Don't put yeast on top of hot water. It will kill it. This is just to be a bit warm. And I'm going to sprinkle it over the top. And something that I'm not going to measure out is sugar. We never want to put too much sugar into our dough. But to proof our yeast, we're going to put this over the top. I'd say less than a teaspoon. And we're going to let that sit. So I'm not sure if you can see the froth on the top of this, but that means that the yeast is active and it's eating up that sugar. And that's what we want. That's what will create the air pockets in our dough. So we have that going on. The next thing, can I let go of this? I'm not sure. Forgive me if this is making you dizzy. It's off kilter, but that's okay. That's me. We're not going to add the salt or the herbs yet. We want to start with oil. And I would say about a tablespoon. You're going to put that in and mix it all up. Yes, use a wire whisk. You could use a spoon. We're going to use both. And I'm going to start adding flour. This is 3 cups of flour. And after we add about a cup and a half, that is when, and this is a cup and a half, that is when we want to add our herbs and our salt. I can't tell you why. I have made so many different doughs. This is the best by far. Get all those lumps out, and we'll be kneading it, so that'll get them out too. All right, so a tablespoon of rosemary and a tablespoon of chives. Both came out of the garden. And then a teaspoon and a half, since we're using 3 cups of flour, of salt. Okay. Mix that up. Get it all throughout. Then we're ready to add more flour. And I'm not super happy with my scoopy cup. All right, we'll go with that, and I'm going to switch to my spoon. You don't ever want to put too much flour in. So we get close to the 3-cup range a little at a time. And I love cutting it in, getting the flour in all the surfaces, because when I need it, I don't want it sticking to my hands at all. Want all that floury, herby goodness all tucked into my dough and not hanging on the side of the bowl either. So you can kind of see what it's looking like taking it all in. And this is closer to the 3 cups. See, just a little left in there. So as not to go over. And it's close to hand tossing it around time. All right, get this all off. I'm going to put over the top and move that around so it doesn't stick to me, but it is. I gently knead in. I don't squeeze it because I don't want it to get all over my fingers. See, doing a video, I needed more. I should have added more to my bowl. So now it is, a little at a time. I hope this isn't too much shadowy. I like keeping it in the bowl, keeps it contained. It's easier to clean down my counter, and I also let it rise in this bowl. You want it, I wish I could have feel-o-vision here so you could feel what this feels like. It's tender and it's soft, and this is old sticking to me. I don't want too much of that to get off. But it's not sticking to this hand, but it is tender, and if these parts break through, it'll stick. So we want to get it to about here, excuse my arm, and then you're going to put about a teaspoon of oil on the top and roll it around in that. And now it's ready to rise. So I'm going to cover this with plastic and then a towel. And outside on my back deck, it's probably about 85. I'm going to let it rise out there until it doubles. So take a look at that size. We want it to double. Okay, so here we are. It's still raising back out. It could probably use another half hour, but this is okay. It's almost doubled. So what I do want to do is get the plastic off. Remember, we coated it with oil. So I'm just gently folding it in on itself. And it's not really sticking because it's got that oil coating. And I'm pressing some of the air out. Then I want to take it and put it in a glass container. And press it in here. Just getting a little more of the air out that is being created by the yeast eating the sugar. Okay, so I'm going to cover it. Burp it because it is going to be raising. And you want to refrigerate this up to 30 hours, 25 to 30 before you make a pizza with it. It just makes it the best. However, you can leave it in your refrigerator. I think I have up to 4 days. I wouldn't go anywhere past that. Again, we're making the perfect pizza dough. Here's the dough raised in the fridge. I rolled it out here. And here you can see I'm starting to dress it. I like to put everything on the crust. And here it is baked.